Hello, welcome to A Visit with Nana and Papa. I'm Nana. Papa's not here at the moment. He will record with me when we do our regular episode, but I wanted to do a special one about Flock. These glasses are really driving me crazy, so I can't see nothing without it. I don't know. I'll try to write down. I don't know. Anyway, I am sorry about the glare. Coming to you from Killeen, Texas. Just got back from Seattle. It was a lovely trip. I'm so glad I got to go. I'm still kind of in shock. It was absolutely amazing. The weather, maybe wish I lived there because it doesn't get very hot at all, and I don't even think it has a whole lot of cold in the winter. It's just the temperature is really lovely. The nights were in the 50s and 60s while we were there. The day after I was there, the high was 70, but even while we were there, the highs were in the low 80s. So for summer weather, that was delightful. Getting there was kind of crazy, but we got there. I spent a good deal of Friday either traveling or walking or waiting, but did catch up with everybody Friday evening at a get-together, a sip and stitch that Gary from Gary Knits, Gary Rides. Yes, Gary Knits, Gary Rides. He's on YouTube, also on Instagram. He organized a gathering at one of the local pubs not far from the convention center, and they had pretty good food, and we were upstairs, and at one point we ran out of places for folks to sit. There were that many people that came. I got to visit for a little bit with Gigi from, well, if you don't know Gigi, you're under a rock, but it was so good to meet with her. And I got to meet a lady from, it's killing me now, Knit Stars. And she was just delightful, and we visited for a little bit, and then other people started showing up. It was really nice. And then I left there and went to the home of the person, went home with the person I was staying with, and got a lot of experience riding on the train in Seattle. And I must say, their public transportation, pretty awesome, I think. It goes quite a ways. I was able to go way far north on it and pretty far south, and so I was able to make it from the airport to downtown with no issues, and able to make it back out to the airport with no issues. Just, that was really nice. Saturday I went to Flock, and I tried to get a lot of video for y'all, but unfortunately somehow what I was seeing is not what y'all saw, so that I'm not even gonna bother showing you the video, because it was literally the worst job of getting video ever known to man. I think of the 30 or so booths, 40 booths that I went through, you could actually see 2 items. Like, it just was, there was a whole lot of people's the backs of people, the fronts of people, the behinds of people. It just was literally ridiculous. So now we know Jim must be the videographer if we're doing anything, because otherwise it's just going to be not good. But I had a really nice time. I did look at all of the stalls. There were 80 different booths. They also had a winding station, and then there was the booth that had the merch, and I don't think those two were necessarily in the 80, but they could have been, and I'm not certain. The moments that were huge for me was being able to see Michael from Piece for Peace podcast and Chip and Aaron from Fiber Hustle, the boys from Needles at the Ready, and Kevin and Ray were sporting their I'm making one, why can't I think of the pattern? Anyway, they made it as a vest instead of a sweater. Turned out really nice, I think. And then also got to see Carrie from Creative Obsession, who I just love her to pieces. I ran into Andrea from the Knitting PT, who I just adore. I also got to see Max and Vincent, and I got to see Lauren from Treehouse Knits. I can never remember her name, but the lady who is like the face of Magpie Fibers, I got to see her there, and she said that she's hoping to either do Sacred Sheep or Flock next year, which will be amazing. But her yarn is sold in La Mercerie, which is, she was there in their booth. There was a Lamb and Kid booth as well, and there I got to see Gigi again, and I made some purchases which I thought I would show you. The first thing that I bought, literally the very first thing that I bought, was my Fiber Hustle, and of course Creative AF. And Michael was literally doing this to me at the festival with his fan, and it felt so good because it was so hot in there at that time that I bought one for me, and I used it the rest of the day. Because that, I don't know, I think the air got turned on pretty high after that, because maybe an hour and a half later people were complaining about needing sweatshirts, and I was finally comfortable. But at first it was a little roasty in there for me. But I did get this fan from Fiber Hustle. And I also got a Fiber Hustle stitch marker, but I'm not certain where I put it. It's in my stuff, but I'm not certain where it is right at this moment, so I'm not able to show it to you. But maybe I'll see if they have them on their social media or on their website. I also got from Fiber Hustle, and I'm already using, a chip sack, which has a handle, and it also has a drawstring that you can pull closed, and it will, except for, can I pull it closed? Of course not. There we go. So it'll close it up for you and then give you a handle to carry. But this is got their little logo on it, and you just push it down and it undoes the straps, and then you can open it back up. Once it's fully open, it sits nicely on the table, and when you have yarn that you're pulling from the outside that is a ball instead of a cake or a skein, then you can easily manage it in the basket. The basket also comes with a pocket, or not the basket, it is called the sack. Chip sack, but I did get one and I'm already using it. So while I was there, I was working on a sweater and I accidentally left it there, so I wound up yarn to make something else while I was in the airport, knowing I didn't have a project to work on, and ended up frogging it. So the frogging's still going on, but while I was there, I also, the same day that I got the Fiber Hustle, I did go into Sea Change Fibers, and I got their yarn in the prize pack from Gary Knits, Gary Rides. They had a raffle and I won the raffle, and so one of the skeins was from Sea Change Fibers. And this yarn here is called Literal Fingering. It is 100% Falkland Merino. It is fingering weight 437 yards per 100 grams. It is non-superwash, but it is next to skin soft, and I think the color is so beautiful. And instead of making a tee, which is what I normally make, my plan is to turn this into some sort of cardigan, possibly a cable cardigan, maybe a brioche cardigan, but definitely a cardigan. So I did get a sweater's quantity of that yarn. And then that's all that I got that day. And then I went back on Sunday after spending a good portion of the day with my daughter and my granddaughters. I did get to see my grandson and my son-in-law for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And then we left and they took me back to town to the convention center. And my daughter and my granddaughter came into the convention center with us. And because I have in my stash, I have a half a skein of this left. I had found a pattern I wanted to make with it, but I needed more. So I did go ahead and get this. This is Les Garçons, in case you're not familiar, and it is the yarn is called Fluff, and it is a sport weight, and it is 55% baby alpaca, 18% merino wool, 17% mulberry silk, 10% yak, and as the label says, also 100% dreamy, in the color goldenrod. And I am not an orange fan, I'm not a yellow fan, but this particular color, or the color of gold or a mustard yellow, for some reason is something I love very much. I don't know that it necessarily looks good on me, but I do love it. So anyway, I have a pattern. It is a sweater. There's a surprise that I want to use this and the what's left over of the other. And then I was working on a sweater that I no longer have my hands on, but I will at some point. Anyway, so I decided that I needed some other shades of gray, because it's a gray sweater, but I don't have enough of the one skein to keep going. So I did find in the Red Stag Fiber booth, this is their cobblestone yarn, and it is 75% Polworth, 25% Masham, and it is a sport weight. So I'm hoping that it will go with what I'm using, but we'll see. And then I also found this, which is 70% BFL wool and 30% Masham. And it's not the same shade. It may not be visible to you, but they're definitely two different grays. This is very light. This is a more of a medium gray. And then they didn't have a charcoal, but they did have navy. And so this is same yarn, but the colorway is Edith Butler. So my plan is to somehow use these together, or I may just use these two, or I may just use these two. I haven't decided, but I do love all the colors, and I like that they're neutral. I will say that this yarn here, which is the Polworth and Masham, I think this is softer than this. and I don't think it's the fiber content, because this is BFL and Mashroom, and I have used a ton of BFL that is super soft. So, and I don't think that Polworth is necessarily better than BFL. They're both medium wools, but I feel like the difference is how it's spun. This is spun really tight comparatively. I'll see if you can see how you can like really see how those twists are kind of tightly twisted, and the plies are very tight, and then these plies are really looser. They're not as dense. I think depending on what you're working on with this may split, maybe depending on how you knit a little bit more, but I feel like these are also more bouncy and this is more dense. So they're definitely not equal, but it's okay. I still like them. And then the last thing that I got, they had a shop that was Kiara Wiggins, and she had roving for spinning, and this just looks so beautiful. And so this is Valerie needs to get her wheel out. So I spent more than I should have. I spent more than the husband wanted me to. I hadn't planned to spend any money on anything. I hadn't planned on buying anything, so I definitely bought more than I intended. And yeah, my annual budget shot. But I did have a really good time. There were quite a few patterns that I recognized that folks were wearing. Several people had finished the sweater that Andrea Murray released for the Rhinebeck sweater already. I think there was at least 8 people wearing their finished sweater there, which I felt like it was a little warm for, but whatever. There were quite a few love notes. There were actually, because I was wearing my rocket tee, I ran across a lot of people that were wearing the rocket tee. So just a lot of different patterns. There was a few that I saw that I really liked, but I couldn't find the pattern name for. I know in the Fiber Hustle stall, Carrie had made a sample of the Swallowtail, I think, as a sweater that I know Chevy Rail had also made previously. It's just not my cup of tea. There wasn't anything that I left there going, I have to make this. There were also quite a few folks that weren't wearing any knitwear at all. Yeah, nothing that really, oh my gosh, this was stunning and I need to make this. Which is not a bad thing, because that, you know, the more you find that you want to make, the more tempted you are to get yarn to make it. But anyway, I had a great time. If you have an opportunity next year to go to Flock, I have a feeling it's just going to keep getting better. The owner of La Mercerie, I believe, is the person who has been organizing Flock and continually trying to make things better, trying to make, you know, really look out for the attendees, looking out for the instructors doing the classes, looking out for the vendors. Anyway, I don't expect it to go away, and I do expect it to continue to probably expand, although, you would probably, if it expands much more, you would need more time. I will say a lot of things were sold out on Sunday. A lot of booths were really, really cleaned out by Sunday when I got back to the festival. But Sunday was dramatically less people than Saturday. But even Saturday afternoon, I would say, unless there's something you absolutely have to have, Saturday morning, I would go Saturday afternoon. I'd show up at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, because it just was sheer madness when I got there. It was a bit crazy. The lines were really, really long to get in. I might show that video because that actually I took sitting down holding the camera. But they moved super fast. So getting in the line when it was super long, I want to say I was through the line in less than 10 minutes. And for a line that, literally roped and wound around the lobby to get in, it didn't take very long at all to get through the line. They were moving pretty fast. They had, if you already had your ticket, they had 4 people scanning your stuff and handing you your wristband. And if you paid for the weekend, you just put the wristband on and you just didn't, don't shower with it on there. I don't know, it might have destroyed it, I don't know, but definitely it would have been, you didn't have to worry about it. You used the same one for the whole weekend. And then it was nice. I did not take any of the classes, and honestly I didn't even realize how many classes they had. They had quite a few and some really good classes. They did have a area that was doing talks for the whole weekend, and I did get to listen to quite a few of them because I did spend a good portion of Saturday afternoon just sitting at a table and knitting. They had a huge section of just these big tables with chairs so you could sit and visit with folks. I really appreciated that. It reminded me of what they do at DFW that I love so much. So I plan to do the same at DFW. And I would go again in a heartbeat. I think I would make a week of it. I think I would take a whole vacation, save up so that I could, I don't know, stay in a hotel, a hostel or whatever, but maybe even camp, I don't know. But I would want to see more of what I saw. I got to see a good bit, but not as much. I mean, there's so much there and it's so beautiful. And for me, I spent a good portion of it indoors and at the event and not outdoors, seeing the different things. I would have liked to have gone to the beach. I would have really liked to go on a ferry. I've never been on a ferry. That would have been cool. I also wouldn't have minded an opportunity to go up into the mountains because we don't get to see the mountains living here, and I miss them. But just the festival alone was a delight, and I would definitely go back. I hope you have a great week. We will try and record later this week and get up a regular episode talking about makes and what's going on. I'm also planning on this week, although I won't post it, at some point this week I'm going to record all of the sweaters that I still have that I've made and what I liked about them and what I did